of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. You're joining myself, Chris, alongside my lovely two co-hosts, the return of the Mac, once again, the techie teacher himself, Mr. Tom. Welcome back.
I'm back. Yeah, it feels like forever, to be honest with you. It's really weird how it just like disappear for a week, but then all of a sudden it feels like such a long period of time. It's good to be back.
Because it's like 2 weeks between recordings.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's kind of like when we did the annual episode and it was week 52, so we'd done 52 episodes, but it like far surpassed a year, and it was like, how does that work? But yeah, recording and time is very confusing. And below him, of course, the ever-present man of many pixels, Mr. Richie, joining us again. Slightly tired.
Yeah, we acquired a pub yesterday, and then I drank too much.
You acquired a pub.
Well, we acquired space in the pub. It's the first time I've drank in a pub in over a year, and I drank too much.
It was gorgeous.
Fantastic.
I could argue that I didn't drink too much. Yesterday's Richie would argue he didn't drink too much. Today's not so much.
There's both sides to an argument with that one. But you are here, ladies and gentlemen, to listen to our weekly roundup of all the Stadia and gaming news, because this is the Sounds of Stadia podcast, where we bring you all of that content wrapped up into an hour or so podcast you can get on youtube.com/Sounds of Stadia and all of those magical podcast services in the digital cloud. If you haven't done so already, we would appreciate a click of that like button, click that bell as well, so you're kept in the loop with all the notifications, so you get all of our much desired Stadia content that we do, because there's a lot on the dock. There's a lot we've done the last few weeks, and we'd love you to go catch up and check it out, because we do more than just a podcast. Let's delve into some of the housekeeping, gentlemen, before we get into the show, because we've got a great show for everyone this week. If you've not heard, the May Pro games have been announced. We have a search bar.
What?
Which we're definitely going to, obviously, we're going to still give them a bit of shit for how long it's took to get a search bar, but we are going to praise them when it's due. And we've got a mystery game and a bunch of other stuff to talk about surrounding GDC, exciting new announcements, and much, much more. But like I said, a bit of housekeeping regarding our shows. If you're not familiar with it, we have a membership program, which is live. And Tom, it's now live with some super stickers. Stickers, badges? What are they called?
Emotes. We've got badges. We've got badges for members. So as people become subscribers to the channel and become members of it, essentially you'll be accruing time as for the longer that you remember, you essentially get little badges, and those badges upgrade over time. So what you'll see some progression between each of the different Stadia controllers, which we've picked as our cute little sort of like pixelated badges to represent membership on the channel. But not only that, we've even got some emotes now. We got some emotes, gents.
They're fantastic. We saw loads of them in the chat on Thursday for our Resident Evil stream, and it was fantastic. Throw them in the chat when you can, and do click join. From as little as 99p, you can get the content a lot early, similar to our Sounds of Stadia SideQuest episode, which we do every Friday. It goes live on free feeds, but members get it 5 days early. So if you would like to see that sooner rather than later, you can do so.
Very powerful show, by the way.
Very powerful show.
Yeah, a couple of days after we did our episode on Stadia Top 5 Missing Features, we got our search bar.
Oh,
coincidence? I think not.
Yeah. Wizardry.
So what you're saying, Richie, is last week's episode, which is available now, which was EA's mystery game. You're telling me this mystery game we're going to talk about this show could be EA's mystery game, because that would be two for two.
Bet Tuesday's blog will have an EA game in it. Wow. There you go, because the SideQuest. Because that's what
power.
SideQuest does now. That's the power of SideQuest.
So
if you want anything to happen, it goes into SideQuest.
So we've willed it into existence by just doing a topical sideshow on it.
Yeah, I'm taking credit for the search bar. That's all that is.
Well, if that comes true, you are batting 2 for 2, Richie. So if you want us to will anything else into existence, let us know in the comments down below, and we'll do our utmost best here at Sounds of Stadia. But
Internet wizards.
Well, we try. We'll get our hats and beards ready. But yes, part of these stickers this past week, we did play Resident Evil End of Zoe, the final story DLC. We did have to cut the stream short, some family matters and stuff to deal with, which always take priority here. So we will pick up with that, and we'll get that finished up hopefully some point in the next coming week. But in amongst all that, gentlemen, it's May the 4th this coming week. May the 4th be with you. Star Wars Day. We're all big Star Wars fans. So there will be some Star Wars content here on the Sounds of Stadia YouTube channel. We'll be playing Jedi Fallen Order.
Hey, cracker of a game.
Amazing.
You know what I've just realised? I've just predicted an EA title to come to Stadia with the Tuesday blog, which is actually May the 4th. Star Wars games are currently. I know they don't have the exclusive license anymore, but previous Star Wars games, they're
Well, we did theorize it if those
Battlefront 2 confirmed.
Yeah, Squadrons could be Squadrons.
Could be.
You never know, but we'll have to wait to find out on Tuesday. So we'll be playing Jedi Fallen Order. So tune in, drop in the chat, say hello for that one, young Padawans. And a couple of updates as well. Soccer Saturday is back. Oh no, I suppose it is back. Yeah, we've done one before. Any FIFA fans out there? Myself and Chase from the Gaming Advocates channel, good friend of ours, will be kicking off against myself, playing as Orlando City Football Club versus the mighty Boys in Blue New York City FC. My team, 2 for 2 also, won this weekend. Without digressing too much, but funnily enough, we're both FIFA fans, we're both soccer or football fans, so we'll be playing each other in a head-to-head competition next Saturday, just after Chase's Saturday morning breakfast talk. And weirdly enough, gentlemen, the real-life fixture in the MLS that weekend is New York versus Orlando, so it actually times up succinctly.
So you're telling me it's actually a prediction game?
Yeah.
That's all our shows are about now. They're predicting the future, whether it be in sport, gaming, Stadia. That's it. Tom, what are this week's lottery numbers, please?
Oh, we're going to go with the numbers 2, 6, 12, 33, 35, 42, with the bonus numbers 2 and 7.
It's not SideQuest, it doesn't count. It's only SideQuest that has a drama.
There is no power here. You have no power here.
But
this show brings you what's happened. SideQuest tells you it will.
But before we get into all that and we get into all exciting news roundup for you lovely viewers and listeners out there, I wanted to do a bit of a catch up with you all because, like you said, Tom, it's felt like a long time. So I need to ask you, what you been playing?
Assassin's Creed Valhalla, just a little bit of that. And I'm absolutely loving it. I know I'm a little bit late to the party, but you've been telling me all this time, like, come on, you're really into that sort of Norse mythology. Why aren't you playing it? And I finally sat down, I finally started playing it, and I am really, really enjoying it. The aim was to try to complete the story before the next DLC drops, which I believe is on May 13th, which is the Wrath of the Druids, I believe it is.
That is true.
The island expansion. I've already noticed the little outpost has popped up in my town. Well, the guy's there. I can't do anything with this so far.
Just waiting.
He's just there. He's there. But yeah, so the aim is to try to get the story done by that point. But with Ubisoft titles, you just can't help yourself from getting sidetracked. It is literally impossible. Like, you just come across things that you just want to do.
There's a blue dot on the map nearby. I should go to that. Oh, there's a white one not far from here. I'll go to that. You end up halfway across the map from your destination.
Yeah. Strangely for me, I feel like I'm actually taking the role of one of those crows, and I just keep going straight towards the shiny things out in the world. So every time I see those gold wealths out there, I have to go get them. So my aim at the moment is crack on with the story, get the story done, but at the same time, I'm also trying to collect all of the wealth in each region as well. Just, I can always go back to the rest, but yeah, it's great. I'm loving it. I'm really loving the way they've approached the mythology. I've just reached a part in the story, or so I believe it's the story, where things have very rapidly changed direction, and I'm really enjoying it. We've had a spoiler cast already. If anyone wants spoilers for it, you can go and watch that.
You can indeed go show that episode some love because me and Richie went off on a tangent about Valhalla. It was like, I think, was it nearly an hour or was it more than an hour?
Yeah, and it feels like we did it like over an hour on a side quest and we barely scratched the surface. We were trying to do it in half an hour, and it was like, that's not.
Yeah, that was a mistake. But yeah, you're completely right. That the magic of Ubisoft games is very much. I always picture James Woods in that Family Guy episode going, piece of candy, piece of candy, piece of, and you just basically chase every little glowy dot until the entire map's cleared. I always have that little voice that tells me there'll be an achievement related to collecting everything, so I make an attempt to clear every zone before I move out. So in Valhalla, it's obviously broken into regions across the United Kingdom, and it's like, I refuse to move to Yorkshire until Lincolnshire is caught in completely free or something.
It feels like there should be one trophy for each region's completion.
I have noticed that some of the mysteries have achievements associated with them. So there've been a couple that I've just sort of, you've just come across in the wild, completed it, and all of a sudden you get an achievement pop. Some pretty interesting ones as well, actually. But yeah, like I say, I'm trying to avoid getting sidetracked with certain things. In particular, I refuse to touch fishing altogether after your
You don't need it.
very long rant.
Generally, I don't think fishing adds anything to that game. I think you can use it to get some runes.
If you're going for 100%, you need it.
Yeah.
That's
Eventually I'll get there.
Yeah.
Eventually. But yeah, in regards to Valhalla, I guess, I'll probably be jumping back into it soon with the Wrath of the Druids coming out, because Ubisoft and with Immortals, they do really good with their extra content roadmaps. You were saying the little NPC guys appeared. They're quite good at, I think, getting you into the DLC by tempting you with, like, they give you the first mission usually as like an entry point free, and then once you've completed that goes, buy the DLC or the season pack. But then I kind of guess if you've enjoyed it and you've exhausted everything else in the game and you're having fun still, then yeah, it's quite an easy get. But it's great to hear. And have you, one question from me before we move on? Do you know or have bore witness to a blood eagle yet?
A blood eagle.
Mm-hmm.
That's a no.
That's a no then. Yeah, you would.
That's a no.
You would know.
I know where you're going with that question, Chris, because it's quite an interesting part of the story.
It is. Yeah, you'll have to let us know when you reach that one, because anyone in the chat, in the out there in the world who's got to that part as well will very much know the blood eagle.
You know what it's going to be? It's going to be like 10 o'clock tonight. And suddenly our Sounds of Stadia WhatsApp group just suddenly explodes. With oh my god!
It's possible. It's possible. I guarantee I'll be playing more of it later today.
Indeed. And how about you, Richie? What have you been playing?
I've been continuing with Dragon Quest. I'm about 70 hours in, but that game's quite a weird one. It's before. About 35 hours into the game, I was thinking, the game's fine. It's probably just like a low 7 out of 10 for me. It feels like very much paint by numbers. The big evil hasn't really been addressed. Then there's a point about halfway through the game where everything goes to hell, and suddenly a lot of the stories pick up in such a massive way. It's like, this almost feels like a game split into two halves, where the second half is so much better. Like, the first half's very good. Second half is amazing. Some of the storylines in it is like, okay, this has picked up a lot, and now it makes me appreciate the slower first half. Like, but all having that 35 hours with these characters, with the stakes a bit lower, it's got me appreciate them now when the stakes have really, really raised. But
okay.
So if anyone out there is playing Dragon Quest and thinking that's a bit slow, get to Yggdrasil and everything changes.
The Tree of Life.
Yeah, you might have
crossover.
You might have seen on some of the artwork. You got that floating island with the tree on it. That's Yggdrasil.
Interesting stuff. So you must be nearing the end now.
I think I am. Yeah, I'm very much getting closer.
Wonderful. I've been just playing Watch Dogs. Actually, I started it.
Oh wow!
And I'm enjoying it, but I think I'm enjoying it it's just something that tied me over until the next big thing. The NPC characters in London's accents are grating on me as a fellow Brit. We all know what a Lundy.
Hello, Governor.
Yeah, it's they've got some Liverpudlian accents in there, and they're all just so badly done. And I think with most Ubisoft games, you'll know from Valhalla, Tom, the NPC acting isn't that great compared to a lot of other titles that are available now. And I know it's so large scale, so it's hard to get everything polished as nice, but it bugged me with Valhalla, and it's bugged me with this, where I'm pretty much at a point where I'll accept a mission, skip the cutscene, and just read the objective to do the mission. So I'm very much just doing, like Richie said, paint by numbers. Yeah. Go defuse this bomb, go hack this server, go do that. But it looks great, it's enjoyable. I'm travelling around London, which I've not been allowed to go to in well over a year and a bit now, so it's nice to see our capital city in all its digital glory. Done gorgeously well, but yeah, not much. I think not having an actual protagonist who you play as, it's missing something from the story. Like, I've played as like 12 different people at this point, and they all have annoying voices. I don't really relate to any of them, and it's kind of just like it's missing. It's all just a bit disjointed. Like, the gameplay is fun, but there's no like narrative thread to like really. I could probably drop it tomorrow and not really feel like I've lost anything.
You don't have that one character that is tying the world together, tying the story together.
Yeah, even if it was Aiden Pierce, who got loads of shit for being a dull, broody like a person in the first game, like, he was still more engaging with his family story background, and every mission meant something to him. Whereas this one minute I'm playing as like an old granny, next minute I'm like a hitman, then I'm a builder, then I'm a casino gambler. And it's like, why? So yeah, but it is fun, and if you pick it up on the cheap, it's worthwhile. But yeah, as soon as Resident Evil drops, I'll probably just bail on it for a while.
probably jump into it as soon as we get Ubisoft Plus.
Well, hopefully not too much longer. Speaking of things that are not going to take too much longer, then, gentlemen, let's get into the
super sexy special Stadia story segment, aka the
news.
And we've had a great week this week, everybody. We always know it's going to be a good episode when we get our pro games drop. And, of course, we learned about them last week as part of the community blog. And we'll rate the games, I guess, and we'll go through them and we'll review that, because we've got a good SideQuest episode this week talking about the pro games as well, which, remember, you can get early by signing up to our membership program. First game that was announced as part of the Stadia blog was the one and only. I put them in order of my preference, just so you know, guys. This is alphabetical. Okay. This is just my own personal preference. Right. Hotline Miami 2 is the first game that drops. Of course, we got Hotline Miami 1 not too long ago, actually. Probably last November-ish time, September.
Yeah, it's been a few months.
It was around about the same time of our anniversary, because I did a Let's Play on it.
You did
before the anniversary stream.
Of course you did. That's what I'm picturing of. I knew there was content on our channel for this game.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Hotline Miami 1. If you've not played it, it's a top-down kind of bust into a room, shoot everything up. Similar to Loaded or Reloaded on the Sega Saturn, if anyone remembers that game. I think it got a remake or a port, maybe to a different console. Rest in peace, Sega Saturn. But Hotline Miami 2, wrong number. The sequel, of course, to the original. It's very much more of the same gameplay. Very bloodthirsty, very action-oriented with a really, really banging 8-bit, 16-bit kind of like musical beat to it.
Yeah.
So good, and very fast gameplay. I really enjoyed it. I've never actually played number 2 because it just looked like more of the same, so I didn't really have that urge to play it. But it's a pro game. Now we've got both games. How do you two feel about this one? Richie, you did our first look, I guess, so...
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember what I said in the first look, because it's been like 6 months or something now, but, longer actually. But I think Hotline Miami is a great game, but I'm not a lover of like the twin stick shooters. They're too difficult for me. I find them just quite frustrating. But it's such a quirky like story going through it. I definitely recommend people give it a go.
Yeah. How about you, Tom?
I've got to be honest that I've never really been taken by the Hotline Miami games. I've never really sat down to play the first one. I have it on Pro. It's going to take up, collect dust on the shelf in the library, really. I probably won't touch the second one as well. It may be something that I play on a rainy day when I've got nothing else to try out. But I see it as being quite reminiscent in terms of the gameplay of like the original Grand Theft Autos, in terms of that top-down sort of shooter game, but obviously without a lot of the mechanics there. Mission after mission after mission, isn't it, really?
It might work as a nice like palate cleanser when you finish Valhalla before you jump into the next big title, whatever that is.
Still got to finish Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Yeah. So if you just want to, I've just done this massive like Ubisoft open world game. I just want something a bit tighter for an evening or two. Hotline Miami could be good for that.
Certainly. It's obviously published by Devolver Digital as well, which I think goes a long way to say we've got quite a lot of pro games from Devolver. I feel like they've got quite either a good relationship or Stadia have like an open relationship with them to just dish them out money for these pro games.
Here's our scraps.
Yeah. Second up, we got Trine 4, which again didn't come out all that long ago, so that's something we're definitely going to bring out once we've listed all of the games. Trine 4, the Nightmare Prince, of course, get lost in that beautiful, captivating world. Doesn't really interest me, this one. I mean, in a way, it reminds me actually of if you took the character like Immortals Phoenix Rising and then put it with like Ori Will of the Wisps kind of gameplay. That's the vibe I get visually from it, with like 2D/3D puzzle platforming. We said, I think before when it was announced, it's got kind of Monster Boy puzzle vibes as well. But it's great that's free. I'll definitely check it out now it's free, but it was never one that I would have looked to buy myself, being the fourth entry in the series as well. I think, Tom, you were probably the most inclined of the three of us to check this one out when it dropped.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a title that I think is actually a really good couch co-op sort of game that you can play with somebody at home who's maybe not as much of a gamer, like hardcore into gaming. So I know Holly and I are going to plan on sitting down and playing this together at some point. It's got a really nice mechanic way. As a single player, you can either cycle through the three different characters. In two-player in co-op, you can cycle between the three again, but obviously only one of you at a certain character. Mm-hmm. But each character again has their own sort of skill set. For example, the wizard can conjure items or move objects around the screen. The archer or ranger or thief, I think she might be known as, has a grappling hook to grab things and pull things, swing across gaps. And the knight is, he's the knight. He's a tank. He's nice and buff, and he kills things. Simple as.
It's just what you want.
Great game though. Yeah, I remember playing the first and second, but didn't really think there was anything more to try in after that. I didn't realize there was a third. Yeah, let alone a fourth.
I knew there was a third because I think I got the second in a Humble Bundle before, and I've just checked. I played like 78 minutes of it, and it was like, I remember thinking, this is fine. It's just not what I want to play.
Yeah.
Right now, and then moved on and never went back to it.
Yeah. If Stadia's taught me anything, and if Pro's taught me anything, it's that there's a lot of franchises out there that have somehow got to their third and fourth iteration that I knew nothing of prior to them coming to Stadia.
It's easier for the smaller titles to get a bit of a cult following, where people who are like really into the indie games will probably be really aware of something like Trine and then probably really enjoy it.
Yeah. I always think there's one where they used to probably be on consoles or systems that I never owned, so they just kind of passed me by due to that. But Trine 4 strikes me as one of those games, you guys will remember them, the ones that used to be able to buy from like off licenses where they're on a rotating rack. In like a special, they all came in like a special edition, like a white box, and you got like Worms Armageddon and the Plastic Soldiers or Heroes of Might and Magic. There was always like that random game that you've never seen in an actual like electronics boutique or a game shop, but this shop just has them on this rotating carousel. What's he got? He'll have one of them. He's found
something. I always remember seeing there was one that always sticks out to me at PC World, just sitting on one of those racks.
Yes,
he's got it.
He's got Worms Armageddon as well.
He's got Worms Armageddon, guys.
Fantastic.
Who makes those games?
That's that box were you thinking of?
Yes. What's the company?
With the orange.
Yeah, the bottom right. What's the logo?
Apparently it's sold out.
Sold out software. Wow.
Yeah, I had so many of them because they were always sat for like $3.99, and when you're at the till or the checkout with your parents, and you just kind of like, can I have this? And you just kind of throw it on, fingers crossed, either a chocolate bar, a fizzy drink, or a random $3.99 game, and it was a good palate test.
Yeah.
It sort of raises an interesting question about where these games get financed from, because I always think about that rack of games that you might have seen that you thought, well, nobody's really going to be interested in them. Like, the games that are targeted to really young children, maybe like the spelling or the maths games.
Yeah.
But I always remember seeing Coronation Street, the search for Betty's Hot Pot.
No.
The shelf. Oh, wow. I just feel like it's like a point-and-click adventure.
What?
And I was just like...
That doesn't exist,
what?
Surely. Coronation Street.
You will... something like Betty's Hot Pot, the search for Betty's Hot Pot or something.
Do you remember when PlayStation games used to go like platinum after they got so many sales and the price would drop? I think this like sold out is like the PC equivalent.
Sold out software. This game sold X amount of copies.
Yeah, there's probably a company, if we looked into it, that what they did is they just targeted like smaller titles that they could get for cheap and just like drop the price and sell loads.
Right, I'm not a fan of this video game, Tom. Coronation Street video game. It brings up stuff with for those...
The mystery of the missing hot pot recipe.
Oh shit, there is as well? Wow. That is insane. As if that's a thing. A fun and iconic hidden object adventure game. For those in our US audience who have no idea what Coronation Street is, it's a long-running soap drama that's been going since, probably the 60s, 70s on terrestrial television in the UK, and it's like a staple of... it was always your grandparents or your parents watched it like 3 nights a week. It was on. It's still going today. It's ever present in the British kind of mindset.
Yeah.
And the cover art for this, if you've not checked out, it's Coronation Street: The Mystery of the Missing Hot Pot Recipe. It's all these old British people and Betty, who's this little old lady who wasn't even a main character, by the way. She was just like an extra who worked in the pub, holding her hot pot recipe, I guess, and you've got to hunt for it. How is that even a thing? Wow.
I found a full Let's Play of this as well.
Oh, right, okay. This is a whole other subject, but
yes.
Stadia Makers Program, get on it. The sequel. We need the sequel to this game on Stadia. Wow, that is... who knew we would go from Trine 4 to Coronation Street?
This has been an episode so far.
It has indeed. It's one of those. It's a bank holiday weekend, Richie. That's why the magic is in the air. Wow, that's amazing. Final game this week of the pro games for your May, or so we thought, was Floor Kids. Just came out last month. We've got the kind of the dancey, live your breakdancing fantasy, Richie, in a hand-drawn rhythm style game. I know this is right up your street with your beatboxing skills.
The worst thing about this is that it came out last month. Things like, Stadia, stop doing this. All it does is piss people off. Like, that's it. Like,
it's got Tomb Raider written all over it, hasn't it? Back that controversy way back when Stadia first launched. Oof.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even like it came out at the start of the month. It came out, didn't it come out like halfway through the month? Like, so it's like literally for like 2 weeks, and then it's pro. And it's like, so there's and the thing is, it's like a $20 game. It's like there's people out there who probably paid $20 for that game, and then a week later found out, oh, here you go for free and pro. And it's like, how annoyed would you be?
I think if people go back and listen to our sort of reactions to the announcement of this game coming to Stadia, you'll very much, you'll very much basically understand that we weren't really interested in playing this. Now it's pro. I'll give it a shot.
Really,
I probably won't, to be honest. So again, Dragon Quest has just taken up my life.
2 weeks ago, gentlemen, it came out 2 weeks ago.
Good shout, Richie.
So.
Nice.
It actually came out at the same time as the Dark Side Detective. That's how recently it was. We were talking about that just the other podcasts. So this goes back to what I've said on many episodes, which is it's conditioning me not to even think twice about buying any indie game that comes, unless it's like really a must. I must play this right now. Which, no discredit to indie games, it's never that much. They don't have a big marketing push behind them, so there's never that edge for me. Like big AAA games, you see advert promotions in your news feed, people talking about, they get big cinematic showcase trailers on YouTube and at events. Indie games not so much, so they need that push, and when they drop on Stadia I kind of look at it and go, £15? I'll wait 2 weeks in this case. Whereas
2 weeks apparently.
The only indie game I've bought on Stadia recently was Killer Queen Black, and that was because one, we were really looking forward to the title, and we were really looking forward to making content around that title.
Certainly.
And it was such a perfect Thursday night game.
It was
shout
indeed.
Shout out to the devs again, actually, for that.
Yeah, shout out to the devs, because they did obviously give us the option to have codes ourselves, but they were so generous with the giveaways and stuff. We rightly said...
We passed it all on to you.
All on to you, we bought all the game, all three of us ourselves, to represent. But yeah, so that is the end of the pro games, or so we thought, gentlemen.
I have to say, this is probably one of the first months where I've not actually purchased or even thought about purchasing any of these games
before they've been announced. Kids.
But, it's true. But, as you were rightly about to say, Chris, maybe that's about to change.
So, is the curse broken, Tom? You are free! No longer will your wallet be beholden to the Stadia Pro library.
He's so bogged down in Valhalla, he hasn't bought anything recently. That's what it is.
That could be true. But yes, we should probably talk about this mystery game, because in and amongst the Stadia blog that they dropped for us all, which I think initially when the games were announced, you look at Twitter and you look at the internet, and it's like, oh, this is a terrible month. It's like every month isn't going to be amazing. Let's face it. Like the size of the library and the fact that it doesn't look like they've got any Ubisoft games to dole out, which is like 50% of the library. It's hard to actually expect like big hitters every single month. But yes, they did announce, where was it at? Right buried in there says, get them all from the 1st of May, which hopefully all of you watching out there, listening out there will have claimed by now. Stay tuned, because this week on Stadia blog for another game coming to Pro, which of course sent the internet and the community into overdrive, and us three as well, thinking, what could this possibly be? So we can kind of fold other little stories from across the internet into this one, gentlemen, because I noticed a THQ Nordic tweets. I'll take the THQ Nordic one for Biomutant. Now, I wouldn't have thought anything otherwise. I actually forgot Biomutant was even coming out this year. That's how little it's been in my kind of mind's eye. THQ Nordic tweeted out saying, how to announce a game. That was it. And then they subtweeted underneath that, wait, this isn't Google. Obviously, potentially alluring to the search engine. A lot of people, myself included, thought this could mean Stadia release. And then you check out their actual website, and their pinned tweet at the top is Biomutant coming May 25th. This month. it's a big game. We know Stadia needs to get these new big games day and date. It's made by THQ Nordic, who we know have a good relationship with Stadia. We've got the SpongeBob games, Destroy All Human and such. So there's a working relationship there. It ticks the month box. It ticks the next big game. Is maybe it being free a bit of an ask? Possibly. But then we did get Little Nightmares, although that's arguably a smaller game. But that was one that I thought, and then a couple of people, I think, did point out that it was actually another game they announced for PC. So it may not have been. I think it was some Expeditions Rome.
Yeah.
But I kind of had to backtrack. But then at the same time, I'm thinking there is a lot of things are lining up for this. Even if it isn't pro, I do hope we might be able to actually see it by the end of the month. So that's one for me.
I think it is possible. It strikes me as a game. I'm watching some gameplay trailer at the moment that falls in between the AA and AAA category. So you could argue, it is a AAA game, but it's on the lower end of that particular scale. Or you could argue that it's on the upper end of the AA scale. So it could fall nicely as a pro game, especially with this month's being quite underwhelming.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Tom?
I think we do have to reflect on the fact that after getting Resident Evil Biohazard as a pro game last month, like the gold edition, this month does look a little bit washed out. Like it does look a little bit washed out. So maybe this upcoming pro game does need to be a bit more of a hard hitter to basically show the relevance still there. Whether that's the case or not, I don't really know. But I think there is scope that Biomutant could be announced to come to Stadia. However, with the announcement being another game coming to pro, I'm probably less inclined to think that.
It's an interesting one as well to look and think, will the people who do all these deals with Stadia look at this month and think, well, actually, we've got Resident Evil Village coming out, so do we need Pro to be that big this month?
True.
I'm sure Xbox, pardon me, and PlayStation do it also, thinking we don't need big hitters through these particular monthly cycles because we have our own AAA exclusives and other content coming out. Like when Call of Duty drops, whatever the PlayStation Pro and stuff game that month, it doesn't really matter because there's a massive behemoth title coming out. So nobody's going to play it maybe anyway. So yeah, with Resident Evil, I don't know if it's just going to be a smaller
If you're
one.
Sony though, that's probably the perfect time to drop like an older but beloved title, something like an Infamous or something. You could drop that again. So like those who are looking forward to the PS Plus games, you're getting something really cool, but it's not like brand new.
Yeah, of course.
Stadia doesn't really have that yet because it just doesn't have.
That's true.
It doesn't have the legacy
games.
Yeah. It's got loads of games.
We should also, I guess, acknowledge the elephant in the room, which is that everybody, and probably if we're honest with ourselves, believe it to be Ark Survival Evolved.
Yeah.
We were told early 2021. They're now running out of early 2021 because it's May, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming up on the halfway point next month of the year of 2021, which is crazy to say out loud. That we're still not allowed out of our homes properly here in the UK, which is weird. It's been so long. But not long left anyway till summer and freedom returns once again to the UK and hopefully the rest of the world. But yes, Ark Survival Evolved. I think everyone's under the impression that this probably is the game, right? It's a bit weird that they're not just telling us though still. Like, why keep it another week secret?
Well, the thing is, if it was Ark, we know Ark's coming to the platform.
And to Pro.
So and to Pro. So you could just say, oh yeah, it's Ark. Like
what are they benefiting from Behold? Like
but again, this is Stadia. Like who knows what they think.
I feel like the blog team or the PR team don't really have a grasp on hype building. If it turns out to be Ark, everyone will just go, okay, we knew it was coming. So
why didn't you just tell us?
Why didn't you just say it? If it's when they say something like this, it needs to be something that's new, that's unannounced. I think it can't just be a game that's already been announced.
That would be my thing. That's why I'm a bit skeptical of Ark. Or would be if it was anything other than Stadia. It's just because it feels like you're holding back this information because it's something that we don't know about.
Yeah. Which is.
But when it's something that we know about, then why are you holding it back? Just tell us.
Yeah. Like if it ends up just being another indie game, it's like, guys, no.
Really? Yeah.
And then
rubbish.
Like Richie said, if it is Ark, we know it's coming. So I would rather have something different, and then Ark just be June's pro game.
It being Ark wouldn't bother me off. I think it'd be nice to finally have Ark on the platforms. Like yeah, it's finally done. Here you go. It's Ark. But it almost feels like they're playing the cards close to the chest when they don't need to. We're talking about this month's pro games.
It's like trying to bluff in a game of poker with a 4 and a 5.
Yeah.
It really is.
Having a really shit hand, isn't it?
Again, someone who's showing you that they actually have I've got a straight flush. Like, here's my card. I've got a pair of 2s.
I've got a pair and
I've got roll flush.
Random shit.
But I guess Ark. Any other theories, gentlemen, that you could think it may be, or any hopes?
Yeah, but the cynical theory I have is that we'll get to Tuesday and the blog post will come out and there'll be no announcement of another pro game whatsoever because surprise, they will have forgotten. But
I think it's going to be. I don't think it'll be in this week's tomorrow's blog post. I think it'll be a couple of weeks away. I think we're looking closer to the end of the month rather than the beginning of the month.
Could there be some, as we've alluded to at the beginning of the show, some Star Wars magic? Because it is May 4th.
That would be really cool.
Could we get an EA game free?
It's possible it could be Jedi Fallen Order.
Oof.
That is possible.
I mean, it would be a good...
But there again, why would you wait till the end of the month? Why would you wait? Why, if it was Jedi Fallen Order, you'd just do it now.
But again, if they drop it, if they were to link it up with the timing of the blog post to say that the blog post comes out on May the 4th and the game drops on Pro on May the 4th, that would be a big statement right there.
What if?
Because that would mean Jedi Fallen Order. This would be the first platform that it's free on.
Yeah, and
I don't think it's come to PS Plus.
No, certainly not.
Games with Gold yet.
No. So I think the game is old enough to actually feel like it's possible.
Well, another interesting caveat for Fallen Order is if this last week they just announced that it's getting a PS5 and Series X next gen upgrade and free for people who already own the game. So could it be in line with that? Where it's Stadia has
by the way, it's Stadia Pro,
which obviously promotes the 4K and 60 frames kind of deal as well. So. Interesting.
I don't think it's Fallen Order.
So
no.
So all of the viewers and listeners out there, search your feelings, and these aren't the pro games you're looking for.
I'd almost see Battlefront 2 before Fallen Order, to be honest.
With any big online multiplayer game that doesn't have crossplay, my immediate reaction is it's too big for Stadia right
Guys,
now.
I really feel like that we're actually turning off our targeting computers here. Honestly, let's just...
That's a good point. So moving on to the next story, actually, Tom, having some kind of targeting computer or a search bar would be wonderful stuff in the world of gaming, because this week, not only did they hit us with the pro games, but then they hit us with a midweek blog post as well, which... We didn't want to put it as the main story, as big as this story kind of is in the community of Stadia.
It's big because it's a meme in the community. Yeah. That's why.
It's a meme. That Stadia, web, I should point out as well, web only, has a search bar. If you want to search for your games, ladies and gentlemen, you no longer have to scroll like the Star Wars text upwards in that forward momentum. You can just search for it.
We've clearly invented a time machine and gotten Google back from 1997. It absolutely baffles me. I'm really happy we finally have it, but I really don't feel like we should be overhyping this because it is long overdue and it is old tech. It is not something we should be super excited about.
Yeah, it's something that's being hyped up by the community because it feels like it's a basic feature that is missing, a way of sorting through your games easily, especially when a lot of people, especially founders, will have over 100 games in the library, if they're pro members. I know I've ticked over 100. So it's that's a lot to scroll through, especially if you want to play something for me. If I want to go back and play Samurai Showdown,
rest in peace.
That is way at the bottom of my list.
Take a year to get there.
Yeah, I'm spending 5 minutes scrolling, so all the time you have with the advantage of not having to install it, it's not the very quick load times, it's all gone because I'm spending all the time looking for the game.
Yeah, the interest in the game is wavered by the time you get to the actual click to play option.
I had half an hour to play, now I have 10 minutes left.
I think for most people it's just a relief that it's here. Of course, the journalists took it and ran with it as being another chance to drag up Stadium Games and Entertainment has closed down. How many articles I read that were it's got a search bar finally after 560 something days. And after closing their studios in February, it's like, stop going back to that exact same story.
They're not linked.
Yeah, they're not linked. It's ridiculous. But either way, in and amongst the search bar news, happy days, celebration, maracas at the ready. We've got a search bar. Wonderful. On web, we should point out, it's not on the mobile app yet. So there's still some work to be done to make it accessible to everyone, because not everyone plays on the web store. We should point that out. Anyone who doesn't have a PC, who just does tablet and Chromecast, it's still not on the Chromecast.
I think we're in the rarer category where I think all three of us play a lot more on the web because we create content, so that's just the easier way to do it.
Certainly. What did come from it, though, as well, is we got a heads up about an upcoming activity feed, which I think is quite a cool social feature that they're adding in. So your game captures and what you've been playing recently will go into almost like a Facebook, Twitter-esque news feed, which allows you to kind of like and, by the looks of it, like comment, react to, share. Your state shares go in there as well. So I think that's really handy for just like letting other people who are in your friends list view what you're up to and jump in and play. Some good examples in that one. And the final part was bulk deletion of captured states, because we know that's not an infinite memory storage. I can't remember what it actually is. Do we get Foundry gig or something?
I think we said unlimited screenshots, but there is a limit on videos of 100, I think.
There was some
your
magic
StateShare is
number.
linked with video as well, so
That is true.
Yeah.
No, that is a good
I think
point,
I think the activity feed is a great thing. I definitely think there needs to be more social engagement on the platform, because at the moment I don't even use the friends list to message people. Like we have the messaging feature, but there's no need to use it whatsoever. To have some sort of community engagement by having people being able to share screenshots and share captures with messages that you can react to, which is what we're showing. I think that's great. I think it's good to actually promote those friends lists being used, and then to promote some sort of engagement with people who may be using the platform but not really doing much with it.
I think for us, though, not using the messaging service attached to the friend list is more of a thing of because we create content. Chances are, if we're playing a multiplayer game, we're doing it on camera with each other, so we'll probably scheduled it beforehand. Probably, usually after we recorded these shows today, that's when we'll probably like sit down and schedule other stuff. Mm-hmm. But then when we're actually playing with our community, we're just literally shouting out anyone that jump in. I'm dropping like the link in the chat, so we're not using the friends list to arrange stuff like that.
Yeah, very true.
But if you're not a content creator, you would be more likely to use it.
Just more quality of life stuff, I guess. And again, if this was all here from day one, it would have made a much more complete package. But alas, they're getting around to it. Get sooner rather than later.
True that.
We should probably say so. Not too bad, but we'll get more features. Funnily enough, though, within all of the tweets and posts that they put out, a lot of people out there in the Twitterverse did some sleuthing, and the image they put out with the search promotion had some little kind of hidden detail which a couple of people have picked out. And as part of their tweet promotion, the one Assassin's Creed Black Flag was in there, along with the Ezio collection as well, which we know are obviously Ubisoft seminal titles. They're not on Stadia currently, and they did mention that this was just kind of some art mock-up work done, and it's not the finalised product. But I don't know about you two guys, but yeah, if it's there, right? This doesn't get past the marketing team.
Stuff.
Bullshit.
And you wanted Assassin's Creed, you've got Valhalla, you've got Syndicate, you've got Unity, you've got Odyssey, you've got Origins. Like, why are you going with two of them that don't add on the platform in your mock-ups? Like,
they're trying to.
They've done this to create speculation, and I applaud them for it.
Yeah, they're taking a leaf out of Phil Spencer's book with the Easter eggs in the background and just trying to see who's on the toes. Bullshit. Is that promotional art? I'm 100% calling them out on that. I actually genuinely do think it makes sense that we do get them eventually, because we have every other title.
We've got Ubisoft Plus coming. It's like I think it's just a given that we're getting the entire Ubisoft back catalog at this point. It's more a case of when rather than if.
Stadia team, just Stadia team, bring it in for a second. Bring it in. Don't insult our intelligence.
And I applaud you for giving us something to speculate, but don't try and pretend that's not what you're doing. Yeah. You've picked that probably multiple people have looked at that image and approved it.
because it's just that thing where if it's not coming, you're shooting yourself in the foot. We said pre-show, Richie, about the games, the way they've released them. We've got Unity, which Black Flag is way better than Unity. So why would they bring that if the others were in the pipeline? We think it's more of just an age thing. If you wind the clock back from Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, then yes, you have Unity and Syndicate was the oldest one. Prior to that, then you've got Black Flag, and then you've got the Ezio collection, and Assassin's Creed 3, I guess, is in there somewhere hidden. And then the spin-off games like Rogue that we never really saw because no one played it on last gen, I should say. So, but like Richie's alluding to, with Ubisoft Plus, inevitably on the horizon for everybody outside of the United States, these games exist on the PC platform if you have Ubisoft Plus. So naturally, Ubisoft probably want a good bit of clarity across every platform. They don't want people picking up a subscription and going to play it elsewhere and going, oh, I'm missing 10 of these titles. What's up with that? And yeah, they want, I'd imagine, long term, just to have as much as they possibly can on the platform. And yeah, I'd love to play Black Flag. I haven't played Black Flag in so long, and I never finished it. It's actually one of the very few Assassin's Creed games I have not 100%ed because of those goddamn warships that kick the shit out of you when you find them. So
I never actually finished the story because there was a few choices they made that annoyed me.
Yeah. Also sea shanties.
Collecting I forgot about that. That might be why I stopped playing. I'm out. Yo ho ho. But
I'll talk about why I stopped playing another time when it finally comes.
We can all agree it inevitably drops on Stadia at some point.
It did have multiplayer though. It had multiplayer. Don't forget that. It had multiplayer.
Obviously, it won't. We don't think it'll be coming to Pro because it's a Ubisoft game, and we haven't had one yet. So don't expect that to change anytime soon.
A Pro sale probably.
Exactly. Which segues quite nicely into our next story of the week, or our next kind of little tidbit that we've got, and that is Rainbow Six Siege has been teased for May the 4th for some news. So they kind of, all these stories overlap each other quite well. Over on Twitter, the Rainbow Six Siege team tweeted out and teased simple, just a green backdrop that says May 4th, 2021. And
interesting.
I wouldn't usually read too much into that. It's not a Star Wars crossover, I can't imagine. However, although that would be awesome. However, May 4th, we're waiting on this pro game. Rainbow Six Siege was rated for Stadia a good while back, and our friend Adam, Original Penguin, over on Twitter, also pointed out that it's that I'm sure it was months ago it was rated, and then nothing ever came of it. But it looks either it's been re-rated again for whatever reason, or it's back, it's coming to the surface once more. But Siege would make sense. It's similar to the Assassin's Creed games. Ubisoft will want this in their Uplay library. Uplay? Connect. Plus? Forward.
Yeah. Whatever it's called now.
It's all a bit ubiquitous. But, yeah, Rainbow Six Siege, gentlemen, what do we think? There's any smoke without fire here?
Well, it is definitely rated on the platform. I've just double-checked on the ESRB's website, and it's still there for Stadia.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's something that we've done, feeling like we've been predicting for a while, like when it will come, and just hasn't quite made it there yet.
Well, once again, the platform is still in dire need of something like this or Apex Legends, so it's it would be very, very welcome, I think. Looking a little bit more into the tweet, we scoured the earth looking for salvation. That sort of green and black color scheme. I'm sort of leaning towards their sort of zombie-esque title.
Oh, Parasite or Quarantine.
Quarantine.
Or Lockdown or whatever
whatever you want to call it. Rainbow Six Pandemic, Rainbow Six Coronavirus.
Yeah, we should actually point out as well that the Twitter account that posted this, while the current name is Rainbow Six Siege, the actual Twitter handle is Rainbow Six Game.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So this is just a Twitter for the Rainbow Six franchise.
It is, correct.
Not just Siege.
Good point,
so
Richie.
I do actually think it could be quite closely linked to that. The color scheme, it's the color scheme that gives me that vibe. It makes me think of that sort of like zombie outbreak sort of vibe. It's giving me Resident Evil-esque feelings with like the scratches and stuff that they've used in the image too. So less Stadia related and more new Rainbow Six game-esque.
There's a lot happening on May the 4th. whether it's Star Wars related or not. Pro Games, Siege, Star Wars Day.
If they went with We Scoured the Galaxy and did a Star Wars crossover, that'd be awesome.
It's interesting for marketing teams. Like, they must look at May the 4th and be like, why bother today? Because everything's going to be hashtag Star Wars Day, hashtag May 4th. And like, why drop something that would be not related and potentially get swept aside for all the Star Wars news? Because we're probably going to get I think Bad Batch starts on Disney Plus, and they're inevitably going to announce maybe even the new rollout of movies. Like, they always have plans every year for Star Wars stuff, so...
If it's one of them days, if you're like a publisher or something and you need to drop some information, but you want it to almost get swept up under the rug a bit, that's when I'd probably look to drop it. Like, if we put it on May the 4th, everyone's going to be paying so much attention to Star Wars that this thing that we've got, we need to announce, but we don't really want people paying that much attention to.
Just saying it could be
but
bad
I don't
news.
think this is the case here. I don't think this is the case for Rainbow Six. It feels like that's what you would use. Like,
so you don't think
politician move.
So they're not saying it's dead in the water. They're not going to go, oh, by the way, we've cancelled quarantine. It's nothing like that. It's dead in the water. But interesting stuff. And speaking of things dead in the water, our next news story makes a shift back into the arcades of classic time for one House of the Dead remake coming to Nintendo Switch. And our good friends over at Stadia Source have got some reports that it's actually coming to Google Stadia as well.
Wow.
So part of the user agreement for Forever Entertainment, who I believe the publishers of this whole thing, in line with that, it says, Sega's famous light gunner arcade game, The House of the Dead, is back in a remake for Nintendo Switch and Google Stadia. The House of the Dead remake is launching in 2021. And, I mean, we all remember House of the Dead from the arcades, right, guys? Back with your 50p's in the machine and your light gun and all the noise around.
I told Chris this before the show. I think my cousin actually had this on Sega Saturn.
Look, this is like a Sega Saturn episode, this. Throwbacks. And then we also theorised, like, we're not getting a light gun for Stadia, right?
No.
Even with
Typing of the Dead.
Even with a tandem
Typing
mode.
of the Dead we're getting.
Because the remake, I believe, from what I watched of the trailer on the Switch showcase that happened a week or so ago, it very much they've just remade it into almost like a first-person shooter instead.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like a cop-out. It's kind of like they're doing what they can with the existing level design and upskilling it. But it's an interesting one. Got that bit of nostalgia. I won't have to pay 50p every time I die. I don't think anyone got to the end because as children we didn't have the finances to reach the end without dying.
No.
We weren't fortunate enough to just sit there and put money in the machine every time we died over and over again. I'd love to know what the cost ratio is. Was it cheaper to pay £30 on an arcade machine to finish the game or buy the game for £30? Where's the balancing ratio of that one?
It's all down to skill, isn't it, then, really, I suppose?
Yeah.
It is indeed.
Wow.
If you're really good, you're probably a bit cheaper in the arcade, but if you're not, definitely go home.
I hope this opens up the opportunity for Time Crisis remakes as well, because I loved the Time Crisis franchise. Bring that back.
Remember Point Blank as well?
I do remember.
With the little egg.
I'm pretty sure Point Blank is still an arcade machine that you can play.
One of the diehards had it as well. Was a light gun one.
That was my
was
favourite.
Was it 2 or 3?
It was the Die Hard trilogy.
Yeah, that's one of them in the Die Hard trilogy.
Yeah, that's what was so weird. Is that shout out to Die Hard trilogy, by the way. That had 3 different games within it. There was the third-person adventure game in the Nakatomi Plaza.
Yeah,
and then
that's the number 1.
Yeah, number 1. Then Die Hard 2 was the light gun first-person go around the airport and shoot shit out of terrorists. And then Die Hard 3 was a driving game with a taxi around New York. Like how that's so varied in one title. It's insane. And yeah. Good memories with a light gun. But we were theorising, would a light gun even work for Stadia? Because obviously the old light guns used to be CRT. You were saying, Richie, it read the scan lines of how it knew where you were shooting. Whereas Stadia has to work on a mobile, a tablet, a PC, a laptop from 1970, whatever. I don't think it would be in... It wouldn't make sense to...
A traditional light gun wouldn't, but there is a company out there who's working on a light gun that actually does work with LED technology.
Shoot them individual pixels.
Yeah, I think there's a video on the Linus Tech Tech Tips channel. So if anyone's interested in seeing how that works,
Linus Tech Chips is his OnlyFans.
Yeah. He actually does have an OnlyFans. He's an April Fool's joke.
Very niche, of course, and lots of niche things happening because our next story of the week is the Stadia Makers Program, which we did actually cover a few episodes back. Stadia have actually acknowledged it now, and they've made a video that went out on their YouTube channel to kind of promote the day, the event in general, and they dropped some news that they are actually partnering with 3 of the entry teams to bring us several of those games to Stadia. Number 1 being Bushido Bots, which is kind of like, it's the
Rock'em
yeah,
Robots.
that's the one. Yeah, the Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Yeah. You play, I think it's like a rhythm game, but it blends it with a fight style of that one. We've got Fragments is another one by Jump Button. So Bushido Bots is by Walking Oni team. Fragments is by Jump Button Studios, and then we've got Battle Billiards by Petrichor, which looks weird as anything. It's basically a game of billiards, but they all have like little arms and faces drew on them, a bit like Cake Bash. Actually, it's got a very
that's exactly
similar,
what I would think of.
Similar style to that one. So we've got fighting rhythmic combat game, cooperative puzzle platformer, and billiards / Toy Story coming to life at the end of it. They didn't pick up jumbo shrimping, which was my favourite of the few. It was like the otters on the boat fishing for shrimp in a similar vein to Overcooked. But there was so much wealth of creativity on display at this event. It's a shame they couldn't pick them all up, but we don't know what conversations have happened behind the scenes, because I'd imagine, say like the jumbo shrimping team, if they harnessed a great idea and Stadia go, well, you retain the rights to it as part of the Stadia Makers Agreement, they might have just went elsewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw that on like PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, because it looked, for me, it looked so similar to Overcooked, but it had like that polished finish. Whereas some of the other ones still look a little rough around the edges. I mean, they were made over a weekend, so that's no surprise. Out of these 3 gents, any, because we know now they're potentially coming to Stadia, maybe possibly as even a pro game. Any of these take your fancy?
I kind of like the idea of all of, I don't know, I have a soft spot for things like Battle Billiards, I suppose, in a way. Like I'd really like more sort of almost like fun, crazy golf type games on Stadia in a way that we could play. So something like Battle Billiards is kind of like it almost fits that in a way.
You
where
want
it
to turn
could be
into almost like a Golf Story style game.
Yeah, in a way like that. But I'm going to say another shout out as well. One of the games that they showed on there as well was Dog Walker, and I'm kind of glad that Dog Walker didn't get pulled for this. I mean, it just had that sort of like Untitled Goose Game sort of stupid vibe, but with multiplayer. But hey, again, you know,
that's a game I could see when I watched the trailer for that. I was like, okay, it's a bit far off compared to some of the other games, like, but there is something there. The concept seems solid.
With the on jumbo shrimping though, I think that also looked good. But
it just looked cute, like cute, daft fun.
Yeah, that's the thing with jumbo shrimping. I think we all agree we want jumbo shrimping now. It looks a lot more done than a lot of the others.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like graphically, so it's like.
It was the one when I saw the kind of the little clip from the thing. It like you understood what the game was about immediately. And me and Richie, I don't know, Tom, we have a lot of love for Overcooked anyway. I think you've played it with Holly right before. It's both super fun and immensely stressful at the same time. But yeah, as soon as I saw the Shrimper game, it just looked more finished.
Yeah.
And with a certain level of polish where it felt like it was ready to go live immediately.
Just bring Overcooked to Stadia. I just want it.
All that as well, yeah. Team 17. Forget Worms Armageddon and your sold out cheap packaging that Richie's got there. Give us
Team 17. Bring Overcooked to Stadia. You know I'm a fan of your work.
Yeah, you bought a game in
Stadia,
1993.
we will do a marathon stream. We will complete Overcooked.
We will, that is right. But yeah, great to see the Stadia Makers program getting some love from Stadia themselves, the Play Anywhere Game Jam. I'm sure it'll probably be back in some capacity next year too, and by then we may have even seen these games come out on Stadia's platform. But more the merrier, more games we should definitely love to see. Wrapping up then on game news a little bit for the time being, we're going to move over to some wider Google stories from the week. We have the Google I/O event coming up in couple of weeks, right? The IO event's, 18th of May to the 20th? So...
Yeah, sort of like mid to end last the third week or so.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to touch on this because we've seen people in the Twitterverse talking about the I/O event is usually where they announce like their big hardware, their big software change. It's essentially like Google's Apple keynote conference for the year. They usually say like, oh, the new version of Android's going to have X, Y, Z implemented. They tell you about the big movements within all the different smaller teams within Alphabet, and naturally Stadia falls into that. It got very little stage presence last year. I can't even remember what it was they mentioned. I know it got a little piece of information about the whole thing, but not much. Yeah. And my kind of question to you two, I guess, is Google and Sundar Pichai, who's the kind of the CEO of all things Google. He's like the big head honcho. Phil Harrison's boss, in fact. They usually come on the stage and talk about the next big projects. And with them taking a year off because of COVID last year, they've said they're going to get back to a normal kind of scheduled routine that they traditionally have with big hardware announcements. Pixel, Chromebook, maybe Chromecast. Tom, start with you. Do you think Stadia has any presence at Google's I/O event this year?
It could be mentioned in terms of the update to the Google TV with Chrome, like the Chromecast with Google TV finally coming around. They may talk a little bit about the partnership with the likes of LG and so on as well, and just in terms of rolling Stadia out to Android TV. Outside of that, though, I think there's such a focus on hardware for the Google I/O that Stadia as a service maybe less so present, but maybe we might see something in terms of new controllers as a far stretch. But I really do think it'd be a far stretch. I think it's going to be more of a focus on things like Nest products at home, perhaps updates to Google TV, new Pixel phone, and probably sort of like Chromebook, something like that as well. That's what I would expect from it.
Yeah, I'm in the same sort of mind. I think this is more of a it's more of not a developer conference. It's more of like a shareholder conference, really, rather than really public facing one. And I think I've said before, I want to see Stadia here, but I don't think this is the best platform for Stadia to be making big announcements, because most of the people watching this are not gamers and not gaming industry people. This is tech people.
Yeah, so, it's focused more on tech enthusiasm rather than gaming.
It should be there because Stadia is awesome tech, but I don't think this is where you should be doing your big announcements. So stuff like an update to the controller, fine, that can go in there. But if Stadia've got big stuff to drop, I personally wouldn't be dropping it here. I'd be dropping it in its own event, like a Stadia Connect, but I might announce a Connect here.
That could make
as
sense.
One of the places I'd announce to Connect, because I wouldn't just announce it in one place.
I would be happy for them to forego their Google I/O in place of them being at E3.
Yeah,
like
I want to see some presence.
Yeah.
This is a good place where Stadia can get a bit more credibility in the Google ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like we are in line with Pixel and Chromebook, and like we are one of the pillars of their hardware. Yet,
but I'm looking at this as this is where if you talk about tweaks to how Stadia operates behind the scenes, if you've upgraded the server blades, if
the mundane stuff.
Google integration with like other Google services, like things like Google TV finally gets Stadia switched on. This is where that can go.
Yeah.
Even though that for us would be a big announcement, but
it's
stuff
true.
it's that kind of stuff. If like like further integration with Google Wi-Fi, for example, we get a higher priority with Google Wi-Fi with Stadia. Stuff like that, that like most gamers probably don't care about that much, but need to be announced somewhere.
Yeah. It's kind of like the stuff that gets talked about at GDC. It's not for public consumption en masse, or gamers, or like your average gamer. It's designed for people who want the techie know-how and release dates for new products and stuff. So, but that kind of brings me on to my next point.
Google, if you're listening, have Stadia pre-installed on Pixel phones.
Yeah, that would be a simple thing.
Have it deletable, because you don't want to be Apple.
No, don't have it deletable.
But have it pre-installed. If it's pre-installed, people will click it to see what it is.
So wrapping all the I/O stuff up, when are we seeing another Connect, guys? I know we mention it every other week on the podcast almost, but
30th of February.
But the reality is, it's been July was our last one, if I'm not mistaken, because we had the good stuff event and stuff. But
I think we include the good stuff event in that kind of category. It's the same sort of event; it was just branded differently.
Well, they need to tell us. They need to tell us if good stuff's is that how they're doing it going forward. But
yeah,
like we've got E3 next month now, and they're still yet to talk about it. We haven't had a Connect for nearly a year. We haven't seen Phil Harrison since the Ubisoft Forward in November.
Yeah. Is he even still alive?
Is he? Yeah. Is he? What's he been up to?
Is he now in cryosleep?
That's one of the new I/O announcements. Cryo chambers from Google.
E3 is the perfect place for a Connect at this point.
The timing would line up perfectly. It would have been 11 months come E3 since the last Connect.
And if you're going to be there, Google, just announce that you're going to be there. Everyone else is announcing that you're going to be there. Just put us out of our misery. Google will be there. It's going to be a Stadia Connect, and we'll go cool. Because until that point, is going to be speculating: are Google going to be there? But Google should be there.
Yeah.
Why aren't they going to be there? Like, you can just put an end to that speculation by just saying we're going. It's a Connect.
Mm-hmm. Well, we said it a while ago, haven't we? That even though it's not a physical conference, the fact that they would be in the same conversation with Xbox, who were there, Square Enix, who were there, Nintendo, who were there, like all these big players who will have a presence. Even just being in the journalistic cycle, it shows you're still there. You might not be as relevant as a lot of the industry still thinks you are, but as long as you need to still stand up and be accounted for.
Yes.
It changes the conversation from will they be there to what will they be showing.
It's an ever so slight tweak, but it's a better optics than just no show. Oh, we'll do a shadow drop the week after E3. It's like, you've missed your window, guys.
Yeah, no.
The entire gaming industry was looking at that platform and you didn't turn up.
You didn't turn up. Exactly.
Just tell us you're coming and have something big.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you something that might not be at E3, though, this year, gentlemen, and that will be Resident Evil Reverse. Because as we wrap up on this week's show, we did hear from Capcom that it's been delayed, unfortunately, out of the summer. It's a weird one because with Village coming out, is this going to kill the game dead in the water? Where everyone who would have played the title next week when it launches everywhere with crossplay, now it's been delayed. It's one of those, if you've finished Resident Evil Village and then this drops in, say, late autumn, are you going to jump in and play it again? I think it's a bit harsh on Stadia. Again, gets the kind of the short hand because this game was going to be arguably probably one of the biggest multiplayers on the platform, just by it being related to Resident Evil. But several months detached, is it going to have as much impact? What do we think? It's been delayed. No date, by the way. Just pushed out of the summer window.
I think it will have a bit of an impact. I don't think the impact is going to be necessarily impact Stadia. I think the impact. It will do probably less numbers than it would have done with a joint release with Village, because all eyes on Resident Evil at the moment. Mm-hmm. So then you got more people who are going to jump in, and by the time this comes out, even if it's free, people may have moved on. But I think it'll be fine, to be honest. I think because I think it's inevitable at this point. Like 2021 is the year of delays. It really is. Well, but we predicted this, because of COVID last year. We've seen the knock-on effects. 2022 is probably going to be the same.
Yeah. And this comes
a long time coming.
This comes off the back of they did a beta as well on other platforms, and they had loads of problems at launch and matchmaking issues, and they pulled the beta basically offline. They've done some investigation. Yeah, exactly. And they've just clearly decided that it needs a bit more time in the oven. So it's a weird one again because it comes built into Village. So it's almost like anyone who's bought Village, you've now lost a chunk of your game that you've pre-ordered in theory. But I guess most people aren't there for that. They're there for Village.
I know it comes built into Village, but I do actually think of it as a standalone title. Because it's a different style game to Village. And
it would be interesting if it was saleable separate as well. So it's bundled in with Village, but if you didn't want Village, you could still play the online multiplayer component of it. But I think I was just looking forward to an online game on Stadia soon that has crossplay. There's not really much for a third-person shooter outside of PUBG that involves potentially the community as well. So either way, we'll get it eventually. It will come soon enough. Other news, I guess, just while we wrap up on the Resident Evil stuff, the demo's out now.
It is.
It's been extended. I can't remember if we even covered it. I think we did last week's podcast, Richie, but the demo was extended from its really weird, convoluted time frame to an actual whole 8 days now. So UK time, you didn't have to stay up till 2 a.m. this morning to try and catch it. You can just take your time. So we will be covering it this week at some point. It may be part of our Thursday night live stream. We'll find out. We'll figure that out. Just keep your eyes locked to the YouTube channel, our Twitter accounts, so you're kept in the loop with that one, which is just at Sounds of Stadia. Final stories of the week, ladies and gentlemen. We have StateShare announced for Serious Sam 4.
Interesting.
Which is a weird add-on. Lots of games getting StateShare recently. We said Monster Boy has it. Pixel Junk Raiders obviously launched big with it. And yes, going back into the Crow Team Serious Sam 4, which I feel like has just fell off the radar completely. I don't think it landed with the impact they wanted to. And is it available on PC as well? Am I thinking?
No, I'm pretty sure it is. No, I'm gonna have to double check that now because now you've got me sort of second guessing myself.
I'd hate to think it's just stranded in Stadia, where I know now we've got a search bar so you can find it a little bit easier.
Yeah. No, it's multi-platform. It's PS4. It's on PC as well.
It got its launch, didn't it, on other things a while back?
Did. Right. It did. I remember it was like a timed exclusive for Stadia, wasn't it, when it first came out? I never really thought I was never really sold on Serious Sam 4 having a massive impact. And then when it did come out, and when you did, when you released your video for that, Chris, it sort of confirmed for me that it wouldn't be. It's just I feel like that genre is now so overdone that we're just sort of. I don't know. Serious Sam 4 was never going to be massively successful, so it's a bit weird that we're seeing StateShare, but cool. We're getting updates. We're seeing more games with it.
Serious Sam, I think it only got that much attention because it was a Stadia exclusive when it came to the platform. Like that's why it got a bit more attention in the Stadia community, because it was an exclusive at a time when we were craving exclusives.
Yeah, true. Should we read too much into this StateShare being added after the fact? Like, is it weird that they went back and added it to Monster Boy and now Serious Sam? Like, arguably not massive titles, but the developers are still working on new features for a platform that arguably they're probably not selling. I can't imagine Serious Sam's doing that well on Stadia to go back and add StateShare. And yet, it isn't on PlayStation, so it's a unique Stadia feature. So I always just think that there's a little bit more going on for the developers to actively go back in and add a feature, 6 months after the game's not sold that well on the platform. It seems like an odd thing to randomly do middle of 2021.
I feel Serious Sam 4 is due for due to be a pro game.
Well, we got the collection.
We got the collection, but if they bring out 4, now it's got StateShare, that you kind of linking these things together. So
hey, there's an announcement on Tuesday. How about that?
Oh, no. I don't want it to be Serious Sam 4.
No, I don't want it to be Serious Sam 4 either, unfortunately. I would love to see, I'm never going to be able to, but I would love to see the analytics behind the scene that shows like how many people purchased it when it came out, how many people purchased it in the last week, how many people even played the game in the last week on Stadia. Because I don't want to be so cynical about it, but I feel it's got to be really, really low.
Yeah,
like currently.
Serious Sam 4 is a good game, but it's double A. Like,
yeah, unfortunately, it's done better everywhere else. Like that type of game is arguably like I would rather play Strange Brigade, or I would rather play Doom, or like any other shooter on Stadia. I would rather play, which is it doesn't bode well for Serious Sam, which is a new title. It should be higher.
Doom 2016 is something I can't remember how much, but I think it's very cheap.
But either way, if you're serious about Serious Sam 4, let us know in the comments if you do love the game and you're a big fan of it. Final story of the week, gentlemen. We got a random news drop this midweek that Dirt 5 Year 1 Edition is out on Stadia, which packages all of the kind of content bundle that's dropped throughout since launch today. We know Dirt 5 actually came to Stadia quite late, so it's not been too long since we got the normal release of the standard edition. And here we go, we've got the Year 1 edition, which is ironic because it's been on Stadia for like 3 months, if that. So Year 1 includes just kind of an extra couple of vehicles and tracks by the looks of it. Nothing to read much into, but it's great that we're getting these variations. Again, it just fleshes out the library. It gives you as consumers a bit more to play. not one for me. I played Dirt Rally, was the last game I actually bought and acquired. Bit of fun, but again, we're not. I don't think any of us are massive driving enthusiasts, especially when we've got Grid. Grid does it for me. I enjoy Grid.
Yeah.
And that brings us to a wrap for our news stories for episode 83 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. Massive shout out to our new memberships, our membership team over there. It's growing bigger, gentlemen. The list I have to edit down and fit more names on. Thank you very, very much to everyone. Special shout out to Nathan Bain and Dan Wheeler from Stadia Source for sponsoring and joining our membership team this week. Don't forget, if you want to be part of our crew, get content early, like Richie's Sounds of Stadia SideQuest episode, you can do so by clicking join below on the YouTube link, or if you're listening to this on podcast, check in the description for the link to the YouTube channel where you can join from as little as 99p. None of our content is kept behind price walls, so from as little as 99 all the way up to the top gold tier, you will get all of our content in a timely, early manner, along with badges and perks for you to click and play around with. Speaking of SideQuest, Richie, what's our topic on the dock this week? It actually links in quite well with all of our speculation we've been doing this episode.
We're going to be talking about what are our best and worst Stadia Pro games to date.
Because we've had 19 months of Stadia Pro now. So let's go rank those bad boys. What's the best? What's the worst? Check that out. And again, you get it pretty much Sunday. We put the episode up for members pretty much as soon as we've edited, recorded, rendered it. It goes up on Sunday afternoons usually, or Sunday evenings, depending on your time
genuinely
zone.
I push it to members and patrons as soon as it's uploaded. Like, that's how quickly you get it. You couldn't get it any sooner.
You literally couldn't get it unless we did the show live, which we don't. But that's it for this week's episode of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in, listening, liking, sharing, commenting, following us all on Twitter, all those magical things that you do. We couldn't do without you as we head into springtime. Thank you, gentlemen, once again for another fun episode. I've enjoyed the energy this week. It's bank holiday.
I've survived the episode. I wasn't sure I would, but
we've still got SideQuest.
Still got to do
SideQuest. Don't forget to check out our streams this week. We've got a big list of things on the dock. Remember, Jedi Fallen Order, Resident Evil, demo, loads of other stuff, and Soccer Saturday next week as well before we record that. So go check that out. Love to see you all in the chat. Have a great week, everyone. Enjoy your bank holiday, those of you in the UK. My name's been Chris.
I've been Tom.
I've been Richie.
We've been Sounds of Stadia. Go enjoy Betty's hot pot recipe game.